Recording in progress.
All right. Good morning. And we're calling to order the Finance and Administration Committee meeting of Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll? It is 9 o'clock.
Present.
I am present. Thank you. I'd be concerned if I wasn't present, so. Just saying. Now it's time for public comment for items not on the agenda. Members of the public may comment during this time, up to 3 minutes per speaker. Directors may ask brief clarifying questions, but may not engage in discussion regarding public comments made during this time. Madam Clerk, have we received any public comments or requests to speak about items not on the agenda?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on non-agenda items, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Thank you for that. I will now ask Director of Administrative Services, Justin Level, to please lead us through the remainder of the agenda. Sir?
Okay. Item 1 on the agenda is to accept the minutes of February 8th, 2024 Finance and Administration Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, have we received any written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We haven't. If anyone wishes to speak on item 1, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no comments.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to make a motion to accept the Finance and Administration Committee minutes for February 8, 2024.
Okay, and so we can move that item. I have no objection. Sir?
Okay. Item 2 on the agenda is to review the fiscal year contracts that were entered into under the General Manager's authority. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We haven't. If anyone wishes to speak on item 2, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay. So as discussed in prior Finance and Administration Committee meetings, at the request of the committee, we're sharing a list of contracts that were entered under the General Manager authority since July 1st. And what we intend to do is on a quarterly basis, we'll provide this to the full board under the same item as the check register or the investment report. And then we're happy to answer any questions or about the information that is provided today.
Thank you. Okay. Madam?
Yes. Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
it wasn't turned on before. I have looked over the information that has been provided, and I would like to move for this be taken over to our full board.
Okay, before you do that.
Before I do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
before you make the motion, can I ask you just to hold for a
Everything-
second?
Okay,
Do you have any questions on this at all?
not at this time.
Okay. So before we move forward on it, I just have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Do we have anything on here, either director level or general manager, that we should bring attention to the board? Anything that we may want to bring to their attention before they ask us?
Just generally, if you're looking at the volume of contracts, the majority of them are public works contracts that are entered under CUPCA, which is the board is given authorization to the general manager to enter into up to $200,000. They are very specific, it's construction related, and most of those are actually they have been completed. If you're looking at the term, whether it's 14 days after a notice to proceed or 45 days, that tends to be the majority of them. We just have a handful of professional service contracts. Some of them are on call, but don't have, I mean, a whole lot. I'm not sure if there was a intention of the types, but we want to just make sure that we're sharing this information with the board. Just a note on the last one, as we've been doing quite a bit of work advocating for our Living Levy project. I think the very last of the Ferguson Group, just so they're aware, we entered into initial contract with the Ferguson Group for $25,000 for advocating for the Living Levy and helping us navigate the letter of intent process with the Army Corps of Engineers, which is, they've been very helpful to help secure several meetings with us. And as you're very aware, Director Sudduth.
And I believe that was the one I was wanting you to to focus on. I just wanted you to do that. So my reason for asking that question is just to give a recommendation that instead of waiting for the board to ask the question, my recommendation would be to start off with the reason why you're bringing the report. Saying that you're going to bring it quarterly, I think is great, but the reason why you're bringing the report and the reason why some of these may have been necessary, right, is not a high volume, I believe, but a reminder is always good of why the general manager used his authority to enter into these contracts at this time. In particular, it's always good to say what the advocacy, consulting, and grant writing was on this particular one, to tie it back to our really important work and tie it back to our strategic plan. And before it even becomes a question, I would just say it in the meeting. And as well, there were, some of these that we have already granted authority to do. I would just say that up front. Many of these were already, the board has already pre-approved the authority. However, we wanted to just be transparent in the actions that the general manager has used such authority so that the board is aware that the authority has been used. And for any of the public that is watching, please remind them what CUPCA is. You don't have to do it right now. I just mean in the general meeting.
While we're here, since it's there.
Since it's there, you may want to tell them
is,
what CUPCA is.
there's a few letters I might miss, but it's the California Uniform Public
Contract.
Construction and Cost Accounting Act.
There you go.
It's a mouthful. That's why I just call it CUPCA for short. But yes, it does give the authority. We're a member, a participating member, and it's all under the California Contracting Code.
And you may even just want to put a little star down the bottom, a little
I
asterisk
can
on the
yeah,
bottom
that's a good
that says
idea.
what CUPCA is on the actual report. But it's always good to remind the board because, memories are short sometimes, what CUPCA is. And the district has opted in to participate in CUPCA. That is another arm of the Public Contract Act. So I would just say that, so that somebody, because it's bound to come up again and again and again. And the same with like NTP or, NTE. We use a lot of acronyms that people don't know, not to exceed, the notice to proceed. They don't know what that means, right? So I would just, that's my advice, is just to say what the acronyms mean before you even get the question. Other than that, I think it's great, and I like the transparency. And I would just tell them, just go on the offense. Go on the offense and tell them before the question even comes up. Yeah. Director King Meredith, anything else? If not, do your thing.
It's nothing at this time, but thank you so very much. So I would like to make a motion for the noted information that our chair has mentioned for the acronyms, to have the asterisks and to have this information to be presented to the board at this time.
And I will, I concur with the noted recommendations. Okay, so that we can move this forward to the full board.
Okay.
All right, next.
Good. All right, item 3 on the agenda is to receive the fiscal year 24 mid-year budget update. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on this item, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Oh, hold on. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Okay. So I would like to introduce Maria Bagley, our finance manager. She will be giving our presentation on our mid-year budget update. So I'll turn it over to Maria.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Meredith.
Good morning.
Finance Manager, and today I'm here to walk you through our mid-year budget review for fiscal year 24. So just at a quick glance, you can kind of see our
Oh, it's not on? Yeah, so if you can.
Can you
Yes,
hear me
our-
now?
Yeah, oh, yes, our attendee wasn't able to hear Maria.
All right, so going back, going back now. This is our revenues by source. As you can see, our sewer service charges are the majority and the bulk of our revenue source. It's about almost 90%. And then the other 10% are split between a different variety of revenue types. Next. So this is our status of our operating revenues. Just wanted to bring to your attention that highlighted or that shadowed portion of the pie. That is your budget remaining, which means the revenues that we have not received to date. But that is expected later on. As you know, we receive our revenues, our sewer service charge through the property taxes. And so they come in different payments, and we're still expecting 2 more payments. The operating expenses, so here's our status of our operating expenses. This is just kind of grouped by the debt services, the property and equipment, material services and supplies, and salaries and benefits. The light blue is what we have essentially spent as of January 31st, and the darker blue is the remaining on the adopted budget. So I just want to draw to your attention, it's slightly over 50%. And there are some reasons for that, but we'll get to that in a second. Last one, non-operating expenditures. Yeah. Non-operating expenditures right here. You have your vehicle and equipment, your capital, and your debt services. So just kind of pull over here, the bulk of our non-operating is our capital programs. So that's all the projects, and then our debt service is about 7.5 million, which this year will be our first principal payment coming up at the end of this fiscal year, and then the SRF loans. And then we have spent a couple of we have spent money this year on a few new vehicles. So I kind of wanted to break this out for this year. We are starting to show something new, which we've never done before, which is our CSO spot repairs, which are actually the majority of the CUPCA contracts that are executed under the General Manager's authority. So these are repairs and replacements that need to happen pretty quickly. There's some sort of issue underlying it. So we typically issue, but we've actually been carving them out. And you can see here, tracking it this fiscal year, we've spent almost $1 million on that. So we've never really shown this before, and this is something we would like to continue to show for you guys. Then you have the redder portion, or pink, as our capital. Then you have the vehicle, and then you have the debt services. So we are coming to the F&A committee to ask for a few different amendments. There are a few different factors behind that we did not anticipate. One of the larger driving factors of requesting of this, I guess, amended budget is we had an emergency, as you are all aware, in, I want to say early September, late August, and that increased our salary and expenditures because we had to have people on site 100% of the time, 24 hours to kind of deal with the spill. We also did not anticipate or budget in for medical increase of about 11%. We did the average, which was a 5% run rate if you look at the last 3 or 4 years. And so that kind of hit us a little bit. And then our supplies and materials and services have actually increased. That is just due to an overall shift in how we are handling our maintenance. We are right now being proactive instead of reactive. Our maintenance, our staff is trying to have more routine maintenance and tackle things and build an inventory of spare parts. So when things go down, it won't create. We have the parts and the pieces and the knowledge on hand to kind of tackle that. So on our, on our spreadsheet with the total of every single line item, you can kind of go through and walk through every single amended object or amended category. But all in all, we are asking for an additional budget of about $27 million driven by those factors. If you have any questions or thoughts.
I just want to highlight is we're not asking for an additional 27 million, the total
Sorry.
budget. So it'll be about a
3.1, sorry.
$3.1 million amendment on the expenditure budget.
Thank you for that correction. Yes, 3.1. The
The
adopted.
3.1 being the difference between the adopted and the amendment, from what I see on this last chart, right?
Correct. That is-
Okay. You scared me when you said.
I know, I'm
27
sorry, I'm
million.
sorry.
I was sitting over here like, I was sitting over here like,
No.
We are not doubling our
I was
budget
reaching for the
this year.
Kleenex because I didn't know what to do. I was like,
My apologies.
"Ooh, Andrew, we need to make some more phone calls because I don't know where you want me to get 27 million from. Oh, Lord. Okay, this is a little better.
Sorry. So yeah, it's 3.1 with about 2 million in salaries and then a 1.1 in supplies. So that's where I'm getting that 3.1.
I feel a little better. I was about to say,
And
they
one
set
also-
me up for this committee meeting.
And also to note, we are asking to increase the revenue budget by about 1.7 million. So that will offset the expenditures. So if we look at it holistic, it's about a $1.4 million increase in expenditures once we account for the additional revenues.
Okay, so I'm gonna let my blood pressure go down, and then let me see Director King Meredith speak.
So I just have, so with that in our salaries and the benefits that we're looking at, that increase,
Right, the salaries and benefits, we're asking for about 1.9.
1.9.
The two largest drivers behind that is the emergency and having all that, the staff time, and the benefits was the second driver on that, where we had budgeted for a 5% increase. And as you guys know, we come to the board around this time of the year, and we don't have the updated medical rates. So we kind of look back at historical, and we budgeted for 5%, and this year it happened to be 11% increase.
Okay.
Right, yeah, just a little context.
Yeah.
So our medical rates are on a calendar year basis. And so we didn't, when the budget was adopted in June, we did not know what the medical rates for this calendar year would be.
Right, and because it's a look back, right?
Exactly, a little larger than anticipated, so we need to catch up.
It was even larger than the CalPERS had projected too, as well. So the CalPERS kind of goes through these surveys or with their board showing, what they're expecting or what they're anticipating, and then it was even larger than that.
Right.
They had showed 8.9, I think, on their,
8.9 is what we saw at CSRMA, but no, CSRMA said it's 11, is it 11.1?
it's 11, the actual, but leading up to
Right,
that,
but
they
they
were
thought it
showing
was 8.9,
8.9.
but it's 11, I think it's 11, just over 11.
It was like
11.1,
11.1 or 2, yeah.
11.09 or something like that. And it was going to be 8.9. I would make sure you say that
Yes,
in the
okay.
board meeting.
Yes. So we had no knowledge of that, and we,
I can't take Tums, but I would like, you should probably have some in the candy dish, Robin. Just 11% versus 8.9. And then the other was the emergency work. You have that written, right? The emergency work, which we really
We
can't
had no clue.
predict. I mean, you can't predict it, but we need that buffer. And then it was something else on the salary and the benefits. Go ahead, Ms. Director King Mary.
No, that's what.
That was your question?
Right, the salary.
Okay, 11.9, 8.9, and then was there any built in there besides the emergency work, which of course is overtime and extra hours? Are we accounting for any additional positions or any, I know this is mid-year budget, but are we accounting for any of that, any shifts, any additional positions, I know that there was a change in the minimum wage. Well, I know we don't pay minimum wage, but that shift actually changed, because the minimum wage changed, supervisory change, which changed managers, which changed, have we accounted for any of that, or do we have any of that that's affected any of our supervisorial or managerial or non-represented wages,
So on
including interns' wages?
So when we came last year for the original budget, we had accounted for a lot of the FOU, the negotiations, the salaries. We do budget a 10% sort of vacancy factor. And so we did kind of specifically put that in there. In terms of positional or salary, that was kind of already embedded in there. The only thing that was slightly different is we had anticipated hiring one position halfway through the year, and this person came on a quarter of the way through the year, so it was a 3-month, unforeseen for just that salary, but that's immaterial when you look at that. So no, there was no changes on positions and salaries, any FOU, all those agreements were already kind of
I
pre-baked in.
think at the time, there was a sizable retro payment for some of the
Right.
unions. And so we didn't have that full dollar value when we came into the.
Right, we had an
So
approximation.
that was an additional kind of, we didn't account for 100% of what we actually paid for those union members. But we're not adding any new positions. It's just there was these additional salary increases that we did as much as we knew at the time of the budget adoption. We included them, but there were a few we just didn't know what the total impact would be. So that's part of the driver.
So I would just say, since we know the number now, just say what the number is and say exactly what you just said about because we know that because when you say salary and benefits, immediately it's, okay, so do we need additional position? Are there additional positions baked in? And if it's not, I would just say that up front during the presentation so that it doesn't become a question, right? Just say, right now, we are not, during this fiscal cycle, there's not an intentional, we don't know what we don't know, right? We might have to hire, we don't know. But we don't know what we don't know in the next few months through June 30. We don't have on the plan to hire or to change salaries. But we don't know, right? But that is not built into the current mid-year budget. And however, when we came to you last time, we made certain assumptions in that budget, and the actuals that were paid out with that on the benefits is this amount. Because before, like you said, you gave us an estimate of how much that back amount would be, or that retro amount would be, and just for your information, not for content, this is not argument, this is actually what was paid, right? For your information, that amount was. So I would just say that, because I don't think we ever got that amount as a report. So I would just say it, just so everybody knows. And then, yeah, so that takes care of the benefits, that takes care of the salary, and then forward-looking to June 30, just saying, you're not planning on adding any more positions or changing anyone's, salary, just to June 30, and we'll take another look at it when we do the FY25 budget, okay?
All right.
Now, based on salary and benefits, so on operating revenues, tell them what that means, right? because for us, it was always the color spot contract and things like that. Tell them what that means. If we're going to be bringing in an additional, is it 1.2?
1.7, yeah.
Yeah, 1.7 million. Just tell them what that means. You don't have to go to the weeds.
Okay.
You know, just say, you know, this will offset some of the expenditures a bit, but I wouldn't go too far.
Yeah, really this budget amendment, the largest portion of it is we are drawing down on our 115 trust for medical retiree payments this year. Since we're in a very healthy position with our funding for the OPEB expenses, which is the other post-employment benefits. So we are able to draw down from that essentially savings account to help offset expenses that we have to pay for retiree medical.
I would say just like that and leave it alone. Don't say too much. Just say just like that.
Okay.
Okay? Say just like that. And I think that will, you know, that will come the sense of the $27 million. $3.1 million. But all in all, I think it's a very healthy position. Not everybody can say that. Okay?
Okay.
But other than that, I think it looks good. Director King Meredith,
And I concur, so.
you want to move to send it to the full board? So just say it like that?
Okay, this recommendation for this presentation for the fiscal year 2024 mid-year, that it should be brought to board,
The full board?
the full board.
Okay. And I concur. So we can, with those recommendations, we can move this to the full board to consider. Do we have an estimated date when we're going to do this, sir?
We are
The next board meeting.
intending to have it at the next board meeting. So we do have a few updates, but we should be able to make it to get into the board meeting for next Wednesday.
Next week? Okay.
next week.
No
March
problem.
20th.
Okay, that's good. I do have a question, not for this. General Counsel, I'm looking at my notes, and I do have a question on our last item. Can I bring that up? Is it okay?
The last item,
Yeah,
we really can't go back once we sort of
okay,
do an item, we should move forward, but I think you should, I'd recommend you forward your questions to staff.
sure, thanks. It's, yeah, I have a recommendation. All right, next item?
Okay. Item 4 on the agenda is reports on issues or matters pertaining to the work of the committee. Madam Clerk, have we received written comments on this item or requests to speak?
We have not. If anyone wishes to speak on item 4, please approach the podium or raise your hand in Zoom. Seeing none, we have no public comments.
Staff, do you have anything?
Nothing from staff.
And Director King Meredith?
None at this time?
I do not. I know we have a series of trainings and webinars coming up. That would be helpful for board directors that I can forward to the general counsel or a board clerk. That would be helpful on governance and finance. Dates have been sent to me. That I personally like, that I can forward to you. They were just sent to me. They have been very, very informative, that I can forward to you guys if you are so interested. And other than that, that is it for me, other than it is Women's History Month. So, men who make things happen. That's it. Madam, next meetings?
The next Finance and Administration Committee meeting is scheduled for April 11, 2024, at 9 a.m.
Okay, thank you. With that, we are adjourned 9:30. Nice, quick. Get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you.